Before we get started in today's video, here are some people that made comments in my last couple of videos that I would like to thank. Here's all the names. Now, Catherine had a good suggestion. She thought that some of the glue sticks, like Target's glue stick, is probably made by a bigger company, and I think she's probably right. Many people commented and let me know that it was actually the show Bewitched that had Mrs. Kravitz as the nosy neighbor, and her first name was Gladys. Let's see. Shelley, I liked that she said that she loves pets in the craft room, that's part of real life. Cats, she told me that she lives in Melbourne, so that's wonderful. The Tape Queen wants to see an up-close video of my travel tree, and so I will film that at some point. Amazon Tammy, she lives in Australia, and she says many times people gift people a pair of gonads, and if you don't know what that is, look it up, to hang on their trees as an ornament. So I'll definitely pick up a couple of gonads ornaments while I'm there in Australia. And then these lovely people. So let's get started on the video. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for joining me today at Juanette's Crafting Corner. In today's video, this is going to be part one of several parts of a new journal I'm making, and it is called a 6-fold journal. Now I'm going to show you what the outside looks like. I have not sewn these together yet, but I've got the papers going. So let's say this is the front. You're going to have journal pages here that flip open that way. Then you're going to have journal pages that flip open this way. Then if you turn the book over, okay, again, you're going to have pages that flip open that way, and then pages that flip open this way. Then if you turn the book this way, the pages can open this way. So let's pretend these are bound to this page, okay? Okay, and so then you will have pages that open this way. Then if you turn it over to the other side, you see they're open here, they're closed there, but then when you turn it over to the other side, your pages are going to go that way. And to make this type of journal, I think, I've never made it before, but I think your pages need to be the exact same size. So for instance, these pages are all the 8.5 by 11. You could use your European size, whatever that is, I don't know. But I copied them to where they are borderless, so I don't have to trim them down. So all of my papers are exactly the same size, including my coffee stain paper. Then my papers for my small little journals, they were printed 2 to a page, and again, borderless. Let's see, that needs to go like that. Yeah. They need to be printed 2 to a page and borderless, so that you don't have to cut them down, but when you fold them, they are equal to your larger pages. So I'm going to show you now how to print these pages, at least on my computer, borderless, full page, and then 2 to a page. So I wanted to show you how to print the papers with no border and absolutely full page. So now I am using a Mac, and so I have my image here on the screen. I come up to File, then scroll down to where it says Print, and then I'm going to print, fill the entire page, but I'm also then going to go up here to Preview. So fill entire page, then Preview, then down here to Print Settings, and I'm also going to do borderless so that there's nothing around the image. And so then let's print that off. It may take a second or two to have that come up. This is, like I said, from Medieval Mirage's kit, Feast of Florals. And like I've said, the reason I've decided to use this kit is because she really gives you a lot of value for your money. Okay, it's coming off the printer. And so see, as I look at it, there is no border at all around here. I've got it upside down. No border at all down here, and no border at all there. This is actually, this right here, that is part of the kit itself. So then now I will want to print on the other side, so you make sure that you put it in your printer correctly. Now, to make the pages to fit the smaller part of the journal, let's find another image because I don't want to use the same one. Let's see here. This is a good image. Okay, so to print this, you'll go up here to Preview, your file, okay? Then you're going to go down to Print. Then you also want to fill the entire paper, but then you also want 2 copies per page. So this little drop-down box there, we're going to want 2, and then you see both of those come up, but then we also want it to be borderless. So then I go to Preview, Print Settings, and then hit the borderless icon, and then hit Print. And I will show you what that looks like. So little sweet Miss Fiona, she's underneath my desk. Yeah, she heard me say her name. And there's a beach towel underneath there, and she was kind of chewing on it. So now that I heard her name, she heard her name, she stopped. Oh, now she's come up here. All righty, that's coming out of the printer. Okay, so that has come out of the printer. So what I will do is cut this here. Let me just do that real quick. Well, actually, I don't want to because I need to print on the other side. But if you cut it here, this is 11 inches in height. And so if you cut it at 5.5, then you will have the small pages to go on the other side of the journal. So I'm going to put the camera on hold, print the other two sides, and then I will show you. So again, as you can see, this is double image. And when I cut it in half, okay, 11 inches, and I cut it 5.5, it gives me this smaller piece. And so then when I fold it in half, let me just do that. Okay, it gives you your smaller piece of the full image, and again, without any borders. And I did the same thing. Now this is the full page, okay? I didn't do 2 to a page, I did 1 to a page, but I printed on both sides, and there is no border, and it goes to the complete edge of the page. Before I sew any of my pages into my signatures, I do like to take a look at my papers and see if there are any ones that I want to do a little border punch on, because it's easier to do it before you sew them in. So what you need to do with your border punch is you line up the image right where the last one was, and then it will give you an equal amount. And then, like you see, this side here has that still kind of sticking out, so I need to bring it here, line this butterfly up with that other butterfly, and then punch that. And then that is nice and punched. I think I'm going to do the same on the same punch on the other side, just because it's a small image. And it doesn't take a ton of the paper out. So I go through all of my papers. If they need to be stenciled, I will stencil over them with whatever ink I need before I sew them in, and like I said, also border punch them. Oops, so sorry for that loud noise. Okay, so now that one's done. So this is something else I've done. I've taken this page and this stencil, a blending brush, and one of my Stampin' Up! Inks, Gorgeous Grape, and I just put a little bit on the edges of this page. Let me just slip it back in where it's going to go. And then let me grab another one and just let's take a look and see what else we might want to do on any of these pages. Same thing. To me, that is, it's pretty because, you know, I mean, it's functional because you can write there, but it needs a little bit of decor. And so I'm going to use a completely different stencil. And let me just grab a pink blending brush. And we're going to use this Stampin' Up! Color. It says Sweet Sugar Plum. It looks like a vintage pink, And I think I'll use that blending brush. It's not been used yet. This is one of Lorna Taylor's new stencils. So I haven't used it before. So let's see what this looks like. And you're going to need to put quite a bit of ink first because there's been nothing on this blending brush at all. Okay, and I think I only want to go on this one here. And you know what? I'm going to try to go very lightly. So I'm just going to see how this one works, because I want you to be able to write over that pink. And if you just then lift up your stencil and see if it did transfer. I think a little bit more could go there. So, but that is a pretty color. Okay. That's pretty. I like that. Yeah, that looks nice. So let's do the other side too. So just line it up. And let's put a little color on this side too. Yeah, this is a pretty vintage rose color. Now, the other thing you would want to do before you sew in your signatures too is if you were going to do any texture paste, you might want to go ahead and do that and let it dry. But I do like that. Okay. Okay, so that's going to go in there. It's got some pink. Let's see here, what else we got. Now on this one, okay, we're going to cut here, and let me just kind of clean this off. I'm going to put the camera on hold because I want to clean that off before I go punching. Well, maybe I don't. Let's just punch some corners on this one instead of a ton. So I have this punch. It is a Stampin' Up punch, and it's just going to make a pretty corner. Yeah, and that's going to be good enough for there. It's a little bit more difficult with these smaller pages to use border punches because some of my border punches are really like wide and it would cut too much of the paper off. But yeah, that's pretty. Okay. And let's see here. I can't even hardly remember where that page went, but it's going to go right there where I put it, okay? Oh, and then now there's a pink one here too. So we need to do something with it. Now maybe I will border punch this one. Let's see here. This one's not too big. Let's just do this one. They're very loud. I'm sorry about that, guys. Okay. And then I think I'm just going to do the same on the other side. It's a nice thin one. There we go. Okay. And so I'm going to continue with the other two signatures, and then I'll be back with you guys and show you what I did. Okay, just real quick, some of the things that I did to the pages was I did this little border punch there, and then I did this stenciling here with that pink, and then stenciling on both sides of that page with a little bit of green. Pretty much each signature will be the same, has a little bit of stenciling on the plain pages and a border punch on the colored pages. Another little stenciling here. Whoops, oh gosh, I hate when I move that camera because then it sways. I think the same is here. Yeah, you saw me just do those little corner punches there. I may do a little bit of stenciling there. There's another border punch on the side there. So anyway, that's what I've done to the pages. And then next we'll be starting to sew them into the signatures. The next thing we're going to do is to sew these signatures together. And I have 2 pages per signature, and I will lay them here. Like I said, I've got 2 each, and I have decided that here are where I'm going to poke my holes, and I'm just going to use this awl that I have, and I like to mark my holes so I don't by chance get confused. Now, to do this kind of a binding, you need to have equal amounts of holes, meaning an even amount. So I'm going to do 4. You couldn't do 3. You have to do either 4 or 6 or 8, depending on your pages. For the bigger papers, I had to do 6 holes. But for this small amount, we're going to do 4. So this is where I just bring my papers up to the very top here. I lay this little insert here, poke my holes, and they will be in the same spot on all my pieces of paper. This was a little bit pricey. However, I use this for every journal I make, and to me it was a great investment. Especially with this type of binding, because I want it to be equal. If you're doing just a 3-hole or a 5-hole pamphlet stitch, it doesn't have to be exactly in the same spot with each stitch, but I'm going to show you with this why it is important that they be an equal amount. Here's my last two. Now what I am sewing these together with is just some thread that I had bought in a bundle from a gentleman from France. And it's thin, you can see it. It's actually sewing thread, but I did run it through a beeswax, some beeswax, and I have a pretty good amount here. You do, like with any type of binding, you want to make sure that your pages are in the correct orientation. And you can see here where these are all in the same spot. So just like with most binding, I am going to start with the last page. You're going to come up inside with your tail being on the outside of the page. Then you're going to go down through the next hole. Then back up. And then back down. And you want to pull it to make sure that it's tight here. But because these pages are they're just regular copy paper, this thread will split them if I pull too hard. So then I'm going to take my next two pages and I'm going to go in through the top one. And pull it to where it's even. What I have found that helps is then I line them up together. And then I take a small clip and hold those two together so that when I pull my thread, you see this thread, it's kind of loose there. When I pull it through, it's going to be a little bit tighter. But again, you don't want to pull too tight because then you rip your paper. So then I'm going to come in through the middle and just kind of feel with my needle where the hole is and go out. Sometimes your threads gets a little bit caught there. Then back in. And then back out through this last one. And then again, I'm going to pull it so that I make sure it's taut. And I'm going to take another clip and hold those two together. And then the end of the first one and the end of my one with my needle, I'm going to tie those off. So I'm just going to pull ever so slightly to make sure that's come all the way through tight. And then I'm going to tie just a little knot in the end to attach those two. And I'm just going to do a double knot. The person that I learned how to do this type of binding with was Nick the Booksmith. If you don't watch any of her videos, you really should subscribe to her channel. She is truly very knowledgeable in book binding and more of professional binding of books. Okay, so then with the next one, again, make sure it's the correct orientation. Yes. And so then now I'm going to go back in through this hole. Okay. And again, once I get to this point, I like to clip them together so that I make sure they're tight. I just want to bring that little piece out. Okay, so if you hold them together like that, I wanted this little piece to be out. And if I bring that close, there you go. You see how that is? Then I want to make sure this is through this way, so it's kind of out of my way when I go to sew it. Okay, so bring those two together and then clip it. And then when I bring this thread, I pull it, it will tighten it up on this little piece right here. But again, don't pull too hard, otherwise you're gonna rip your papers. Ask me how I know that. I had to come in with some tape and tape one small area. So again, I'm just gonna kind of feel where those holes are. And sometimes you gotta come in here and undo it and take a look and then go back in and redo it. See, I wasn't able to find that one spot. So, see how that got caught there? Yeah, okay, we're good now. My thread was catching here. Okay, so now I'm going to go back in again. Pull that a little bit tight so it's tight right here on this edge. And then put my clip on there. There we go. And then down through this hole. Okay, now I can tell that's pulled all the way through. So then what I do is I once again line it up, take a clip and clip it tight. Make sure that's taut. Then you're going to take your needle and through the first two, remember we have 3 pages here, you're going to go through that very first page and the second page, you're going to push your needle through until it comes out, and you'll see it forms a loop. Then you're going to bring your needle up through that loop and form a slip knot, and that helps hold those pages together. Then you can undo your clip, grab your next group of pages, go down through the hole, that very first hole. I'm going to have to take my glasses off so I can actually pull this up to my eyes so I can see. Yeah, okay. I pull it through there. And then through the second one. Then the third one. And the fourth one. Now, what I did this time is I didn't clip these two together yet. So I'm going to bring this one in and put a clip there. And then just ever so slightly come in and make sure that all of my threads are pulled tight. So I'm going to grab this one and pull it so that tightens that first, this page and the next page. And then I'm going to pull this. You see how that's tightening up? And it's nice and tight there. And then bring that up there. Put my clip on. And then you're going to run your needle through the, I'm going to flip it around because it's easier because I'm right-handed. You're going to flip and you're going to go between the second and third page. Bring that down just a little bit. Okay. And it's going to form a knot, and you're going to bring your thread through and have a slip knot there. Okay, so now those two are together. Okay, and then this is our last one. And again, we're going to go in through the bottom. Go in and out each one. I'm going to bring these tight. We're going to bring this up through here, through the last one we did. Form a knot. And bring those tight. Now, as I look at it, that right-hand side And then as I flip it over, it then becomes the left-hand side. It's not quite as tight as I would like it to be, but that's okay. With this kind of binding, we do glue the spine to book cloth. So then now we're going to just tie this off, another slip knot, and tie it off completely and then cut it. With these, you do put glue on the ends of the pages. And so, yeah, we're good. We're good. Okay. So that's how you sew or bind pages that way. And I have my other pages all sewn together and my big pages. So in the next video, we're going to be doing the cover for this journal. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you guys next Monday. Bye.